Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the autumn budget. We're going to be talking about why it was the worst budget before we even heard anything about it, just some key points about it, and then lastly who the budget is actually for. Now this isn't going to be a proper analysis of the budget because I'm not a proper analyst. So if you do want to find out more about that, go check out every other media outlet there is there. Not saying I'm a media outlet, but you know what I mean. But otherwise, if you're happy with this sort of videos, please do like, please do subscribe, and we'll get into it. So firstly, what's the autumn budget? For those who have been living under a rock for the past forever, the autumn budget is essentially when the government comes out and sets their fiscal policies for the upcoming year. So essentially, if there's any changes to the tax policies, spending, all that lovely stuff. So why was this the worst one before we actually find out what's in it? Well, firstly, the reason is because before the budget, normally what happens is the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves in this case, will go into Houses of Parliament and she will read out the budget and everyone will hang on every word that she says. In this instance, she gave the budget to the Office of Budget Responsibility and they accidentally released it 40 minutes early. Now, why that's bad is because by the time all the MPs actually got into the House of Parliament, they already know what she was going to say. So, not everyone's hanging on her every word. In fact, everyone's already made their notes and they're already kind of knowing what's coming. So, she's kind of lost that gravitas that all chancellors love to do, like, once a year. So, that was pretty much a big F up. Someone's obviously in a lot of trouble for that, but there we go. Now, another reason why this was one of the worst budgets before it was released is the timing of it. So on this little list that I've got here, this is the list of the previous 10 autumn budgets and their dates. So as you can see, there is a bit of a fluctuation between them. Predominantly, they're in November. But as you can see there, we've had some from late October, middle of November, so on and so forth. The problem is, because a lot of businesses, investors, families are going to make big financial decisions, they'd like to know the information before it comes, not before it comes out, but as soon as possible. I mean, if you're going to buy, £20,000 electric vehicle, you might wait to find out what the government's going to do about electric vehicles before you commit to it. So that's, again, it's, as you can see, in the last 10 years, it is the latest one. By a day, I will grant you, but still, it is the latest one. So that's why it's not great. And another reason why this is the worst budget before it even came out is because before the actual budget came out, Rachel Reeves was literally doing all these TV appearances, all these little chats saying, "Oh, what might be in the budget?" Basically, she was just fueling speculation. And markets, people, they don't like speculation. They like to know what's happening. In fact, before we go into another clip, she was even flouting the idea about raising income taxes. That was actually in the budget, so you can almost guess she was basically thumbing it in sort of towards the end, just trying to work out, what do people want? Which, when you're the Chancellor, you're supposed to kind of make the best decisions for the country, not try and base your budget on popular opinion. But hey, that's just me. Now, we're going to watch a quick clip about the budget. Now, the Tories have done a pretty bad job in the last 14 years. I think we could all agree with that. However, they have made this wonderful video. So let's watch this, and before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what the budget was about.
Let me be absolutely clear. We will not raise tax for working people.
Labour will not be increasing taxes. I am very clear about that.
No tax rises.
We don't want to increase taxes.
No income tax, no national insurance, no VAT.
I will not raise taxes.
We're not going to increase tax. I don't believe it's fair to raise taxes on working people.
I would like taxes on working people to be lower. I want to cut taxes.
Labour will not be raising taxes.
There'll be no additional taxes on households under Labour.
There's a commitment not to increase taxes.
Because we've been very, very clear.
We will not increase
Plans to raise
Taxes.
We have no plans to raise taxes on working people. We've said it a million times.
We're going to have to put up taxes on.
Well, that's not true. This budget raises taxes by £40 billion.
The biggest tax increases seen since 1993.
There's no need to come back with another budget like this. We never need to do that again.
I'm really clear. I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes.
It's now on us.
I will maintain all income tax and equivalent national insurance thresholds at their current level.
But we don't need to come back for more. We don't need to increase taxes.
I am asking everyone to make a contribution.
Labour will not be putting up taxes on working people.
I know that maintaining these thresholds is a decision that will affect working people.
There you go. So nice little video for everyone there. So just as a quick side, so the whole election campaign by Labour was that they're not going to raise taxes on working people. They didn't never really define what working people was, but there we go. Last year, we know that national insurance contributions went up on businesses. So when you get employed, you get your salary, but in the background, there's national insurance payments that your employer has to pay for you. So if you're on 20 grand a year, you don't cost the company 20,000, you cost them more. Okay, so that went up, and we found that unemployment went up because businesses weren't that keen to hire more people because they cost more. So there's that. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go actually into the budget. So as I said, this is going to be a sort of overview because I am not a expert in any sense of the word. So let's get into it then. So firstly, income tax and thresholds. Personal allowances and higher rate thresholds frozen until 2031, leading to fiscal drag as wages rise. Oh, just to be clear, I just asked Grok to give me a summary of the budget, non-biased, so this is Grok's own words. So essentially, we all know what income tax bands are. So you earn up to a certain amount, you pay like 12,000 odd, you don't pay any tax. Then up to a certain amount, it's 20%. After that, you then pay 40%, and then way above that, you're going to get the higher rate. Now, when these get frozen, what that means is there is going to be an income tax rise because most people get an employment salary increase every year as a cost of living adjustment because inflation goes up. So if you earn £20,000, inflation is 4%. Well, in a year's time, your £20,000 isn't worth the same £20,000 it was last year. Okay, it is worth 4% less. So you need, ideally, to be paid an extra 4% by your employer so that you're making the same amount of money in real terms. That's inflation, cost of living adjustments. However, as you just see, if your pay goes up, but the tax bands stay the same, then tax band, your salary. Your salary keeps going up. You go into the next tax band. You're going to start getting taxed more, even though you're not a higher rate taxpayer in sort of the grand scheme of things. Apparently, when these were brought up, introduced by Nigel Lawson, there was hardly anybody actually paying the higher rate of tax. It was literally the very, very big earners, as Andrew Neil says. Now, you're going to find there's millions more people who will be going into the higher rate of tax. So in the next couple of years, if you are getting your cost of living adjustments, if you get a promotion, congratulations to you. However, you're now paying more tax. So enjoy. There you go. National insurance. The thresholds again frozen, increasing business costs over the time. Salary sacrifice pensions capped at 2,000 annually from April 2029 with national insurance applied to the excess. So again, if you've got a salary sacrifice scheme where you're paying towards a pension, in most cases, it's taken out of your pay slip before you get taxed and before you get national insurance contributions taken off it. As you can see there, if you're doing more than 2,000 a year, then that's the rest. Anything above 2,000 is now going to get national insurance applied to it. So if you want to save more than £2,000 towards your pension, there you go. You're going to get national insurance taken off it. Savings and ISAs, cash ISA limit capped at 12,000 annually. That it used to be 20,000, now it's 12. The remainder of the 8,000 has to go in investments. Now, the reason they've done this was talked about like a year ago, is the government notice a lot of people have money in savings and they want to move the money from savings into investments because they need more investment in the country. You saving does not actually help them invest. It helps the banks invest because they have to have a certain amount of savings for them to invest, but the government don't feel like it's enough, and they want more people moving their money into actual investments rather than cash and stock ISAs. So dividends and savings income, 2% rise in tax rates. So you should say 10.75%, 35.75. Right. A lot of people might think, oh, okay, that's just the people who own stocks or shares in companies, the rich people. No, you may know a lot of tradesmen will register themselves as companies so that they can pay themselves the personal allowance per year as employment and then take the rest of their money as a dividend. It's a way of skirting around paying a higher rate of tax. So yeah, if you're a tradie, you know someone who's a tradie, chances are they're now paying more income tax because of that. So there we go, more tax on working people. Property taxes, properties over 2 million are going to have a mansion tax, so £2,500 a year roughly. I think I saw something else, 7,500 for anything more than 5 million. Again, tax the rich. It's Labour. They just want to tax the rich. So, mind you, 2 million is a lot. But if you own, I don't know, 3-bed detached house in London, maybe, you might actually find that you're living in a multi-million-pound property. So, are you liquid enough to pay that much money? Probably not. But yeah, there we go. Welfare reforms. 2-child cap benefit scrapped. So, for those who don't know, you have a kid in the UK, you get child tax credits, universal credit for them. You get another one, you still get it, but you get less. Okay, I think one kid's like £100 a month or something like that. It was capped, so if you had more than 2 children, you didn't get any help from the government. A lot of people happy with that, saying if you can't afford kids, don't have them. A lot of others saying, well, actually, we need to have more children. That's me. I think we need to have more kids. Who's this going to benefit? Well, there's only 2 types of people who have more than 2 kids in the UK. Super rich people because they can afford it, and super poor people because they're on benefits. So they don't have to pay for anything because they get everything paid for. So having more kids, I mean, if they're not working all day, what else are they going to do? So personally, I do want to have more kids. At the same time, I don't want to be paying for the for people who basically on benefits having kids. Who comes to mind? Afghans, Somalians, Pakistanis. We all know there's a certain group of people who love having loads of kids and don't work and aren't from the UK. So if they scrapped paying universal credit for kids for non-British people, I'd be on board. But hey, that's it. Pensions up 4.8%. So yeah, again, that's the triple lock. I mean, let's be honest, pensioners have loads of money. They got all their properties when it was only 4 times your salary to buy a property. Now it's like 10. Yeah, never mind. Wages. Now, wages have gone up, again, for the poorest people. So the national living wage has gone up to £12.71, £10.85 for 18 to 20-year-olds, and 6% to £8 for 16 and 17-year-olds and apprenticeships. Of course, that's probably good, but the problem with national minimum wage is it inflates the local economy. Because if you can think back, the North used to be much poorer than the South. They brought in a high minimum wage. Suddenly, everyone's got a lot more money up there because a lot of them are working minimum wage jobs. That causes massive inflation because now there's more money. Everything costs more in that area. So, fine. There we go. Fuel and transport, there's a duty free, so not too fussed on that. It's going to get phased out. Electric vehicles, yeah. So remember how electric vehicles came in and it said, great, you don't have to pay road tax because you're so green. Then they got rid of that and said, great, now you have to pay road tax. Now you're going to have to pay 3p per mile for electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids from 2028. That's what you get for going green. So energy bills. So green levies. Green levies were brought in by the Tories. Essentially, we were getting charged so that energy companies could invest more money in green technology. That was it. That's been moved to taxation. So again, we are getting charged for that, but it's just slightly moved. So yeah, that's the thing. They've moved it from one place to another and telling us that energy is going down, but we're still getting taxed for it. So that's alcohol, tobacco, and sugary drinks. Yeah, it's standard. They're just raising taxes on that. Can't say much. Business and gambling, I'm not too fussed about. Education and health. Yeah, there's 925 tax on universities per overseas student from 2028. I mean, overseas students do pay a lot to come here anyway. So, great. Is that going to push them away? I mean, our universities are rubbish now anyway, so who cares? Employment and benefits. That's not it. Right, farming and land laws. 20% inheritance tax on agricultural estates over £1 million. The farmer's tax. So, as we know, absolutely stupid. Farmers don't have a lot of disposable income. On average, they earn about 30,000 a year. Yeah, they've got assets worth over 1 million, but they're also all farming equipment and barns and storage. Like it's not like they're not swimming in cash. But socialist governments love hating farmers. Just look at the Soviets. Now, economic forecasts. So this one's interesting because the Labour government were like, hey, we're in a bit of a tailspin. We're going to grow the economy. Now, of course, anyone can tell you don't grow the economy by taxing your way through it. So GDP growth is at 1.5% for 2025, and then averages at 1.5%, which is down from 1.8% that was previously predicted. And then they thinking inflation will go down. But let's be honest, if you're taxing everyone and pumping money, that's how you get hyperinflation. Just look at Germany after World War One. Yeah. So, other reforms, efficiency targets. Oh yeah, they abolished police and crime commissioners. That was coming up before anyway. They were useless, so that's it. So, quick summary. Who benefits? Low-paid workers, socialist wet dream. Essentially, people that don't work hard, that don't take risks. They're the ones who get rewarded in socialist societies. So, well done, Labour. Oh yeah, obviously the people who have more than 3 kids, the migrants. So, yep, good luck to them. Who's worse off? Basically everyone else, because we're all going to get caught by the fiscal drag. Our salary sacrifice is going to get caught in it. Limited company owners, so the tradies, they're actually paying more in income tax. Electrical vehicle drivers, people, yeah, the list goes on and on and on. So that is a summary of the autumn budget. Essentially, it's crap. Now, I did mention at the start, I was going to say, who is the autumn budget for? So the budget usually targets a specific function. So in austerity times after 2010, David Cameron's government with George Osborne as Chancellor, they had an austerity measure. So the idea was cutting back costs, trying to mitigate debt, and essentially they were trying to boost the property market again with Help to Buy schemes and all that nonsense. Boris's or Rishi's, yeah, their schemes were all about kind of furlough and COVID and all that nonsense. So that was kind of forced upon them. Liz Truss was actually trying to boost growth, but no one gave her a chance. So who's this budget for? Well, it was actually for the Labour Party, because unless you people are paying attention to politics like I do, you would know that Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are basically hanging by a thread. There's been reports of obviously West Streeting was going to make a leadership bid. Andy Burnham might get parachuted into a Labour seat so he can challenge Starmer, because the Labour Party know they're not going to win any sort of local elections or the next general election with Keir Starmer, because everyone hates him. Two-tier Keir. So this party was basically to try and satisfy the left wing of the Labour Party. How do we know this? Because earlier the year, they actually had a vote on removing the two-child cap benefit. 7 Labour MPs voted against the government because they wanted it removed. The Labour government didn't. Those 7 MPs had the whip suspended from them for doing that. Now all of a sudden, they've gotten rid of it. Who's that satisfying? It's the Marxists. It's all the people who want a tax and spend government. The more we tax you, the more of your money we can spend. And then what happens then is, actually, we're spending it really badly. We've got to tax you more and spend again. They're all socialists. They all just want as big a government as possible. And this is how they get it, by adding another 26 billion in taxes to our economy. Now, with that in mind, I haven't got it ready, but if you Google tax burden as a percentage of GDP for any country, Britain is around 33%. GDP tax burden, which means for every pound we produce, 33 pence of that is being taxed. The next biggest is China, around 18%. And then I think it's like Singapore by like 17%. Even the communist states aren't taxing as much as we are. Just take that in for example. So Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer, because basically Keir Starmer was writing this budget, it wasn't Rachel Reeves. They're basically hanging on by a thread. They need the party to stay with them. However, it's too late for them. Local elections are coming up in May. Reform are already winning council seats every time they pop up. Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are done. You heard it here, not first, probably the 20th time you've heard it, but there we are. So, in summary, crap budget. We're all going to suffer for it. And in hindsight, a lot of the tax burdens are coming in around 2028, but a lot of the spending is happening soon. So, next year and the year after that, we're not actually going to see any of the receipts of these tax burdens coming in yet. So, you have got time to prepare, you have got time to adjust, and who knows? There might be a general election before then, or heck, there might be a civil war breaking out because of all this nonsense they're having with the migration. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you're having a great day. Please like the video. Please do subscribe to see more. And guys, have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.